one can remove their sexuality, even though it's destroying everything for them.
You were a woman demanding her right, and you reacted aggressively, almost like a man, and you fought back. It's very touching, all this.
Then you've probably misunderstood the whole thing.
Hey guys, how are you? Welcome back. So I wasn't initially going to do it, but here we go. I'm going to talk to you today about Nymphomaniac Volume 2. I didn't actually do a review of Volume 1 because so many reasons, but I am going to say you are not able to walk into Volume 2 without having previously seen Volume 1 because there is too much character information and backstory that you are required to know as you sit down and see Volume 2. If you don't know what Nymphomaniac is about, we've got Charlotte Gainsbourg. She's playing Jo. Now Jo is receiving the hospitality of Peter Skarsgård, who has taken her into his home, and she is recounting to him the story of her life, as more specifically her sexual life from childhood to where she is now. Intercut with this, we've got young Jo, played by this girl is a newcomer. I'm just going to look up her name because she does such an incredible job. Stacy Martin. So young Jo is played by Stacy Martin. As Jo is recounting her story, we are flashing back to a secondary timeline of young Jo's life. Now, while this film may come across as a narrative set in a time and a place, I at no point ever felt like I was in the real world watching real world events. I really did feel like this film was a critical essay of sorts, focusing on the themes around sexuality and human beings as sexual creatures and how that sexuality filters into our everyday lives and into society, into who we are, and more specifically how much that sexuality plays a part in defining who we are as a person. In order to explore this theme of sexuality, Lars von Trier has decided to give us two opposing sides, that being Jo, played by Charlotte Gainsbourg, and Stellan, played by Stellan Skarsgård. Now, Jo considers herself a nymphomaniac. She has sexual desires and she does not repress them. In fact, she is ostracized from the society around her, unable to form human connections, real emotional connections with other people, because she is so entirely sexual and acts on instinct alone. And on the other side of the table, Stellan, I think that's how you say his name, Stellan, he is comes from a more educational, a literary background. He is the society, he is moral constraint, he is everything about being a human being in a functional society. So by giving us these two opposing characters who are forced to interact and convey opposing sides of one story, it's really exploring that backwards and forwards, that for and against. Except when I say for and against, I don't mean that Lars von Trier is in fact trying to argue one way or another. He is just presenting these two sides of this argument. I will also say though, as a side note, I do feel like as a filmmaker, he is extremely indulgent in this study, and I personally did not feel like the film was required over 2 volumes. I do think he could have explained this in one film. I perhaps would have agreed with the splitting of the volume into 2 sections if we were looking at a young person's perspective and an older, more wiser person's perspective. So for example, if in volume 1 we were just looking at young Jo's life, and in volume 2 we were looking more at old Jo's life, and maybe mixing a little bit here and there to blend the two together. But in this film, we're looking at one entire lifetime, basically. The present timeline being old Jo as she's explaining the story to Stellan, and flashing backwards to her entire life from childhood, adolescence, young adulthood, and as today, how she got to where she is today. So in order to stop myself from closing my eyes and thinking, oh my god, what am I watching? Is this pornography? I really had to take one step away from it and take more of a critical eye to the narrative. I don't really want to call this film boundary pushing. I mean, while it is pushing boundaries in terms of that line between what is art and what is porn, I don't feel like it was doing it for the right reasons. Nymphomaniac really was an unusual yet horrifying experience for me. It's not for the faint-hearted when it comes to violent and sexual content. That's it for me on Nymphomaniac. It's not a film that I'll be rushing to go see again anytime soon. If you got to see this film, let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. I'd be very interested to know. Make sure you guys subscribe to my channel if you want to see more of what I'm going to be watching this summer, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye!